Have you ever thought about the past? Not just as one single story, but as many different stories happening all at once. It's a fascinating idea, right? We often talk about the past as if it were a single, monolithic thing. But what if I told you there isn't just one past, but many? Think about the title of a history book I once saw. Our pasts, with an S at the end. That one letter changes everything. It's a powerful reminder that history wasn't the same for everyone. The experience of the past was wildly different depending on who you were and where you lived. Let's take a journey back in time. Imagine the life of a powerful king or a glamorous queen. Their days were filled with royal decrees, lavish banquets, and strategic battles. Their palaces were grand, their clothes were exquisite, and their lives were, for the most part, documented. We know their names, their victories, their family trees. Their story is the one we often hear. But now, let's shift our focus. Picture a humble herder, guiding a flock of sheep across rolling hills. Their life was tied to the seasons, the weather, and the health of their animals. Or think of a farmer, toiling in the fields from sunrise to sunset, praying for rain and a good harvest. Their concerns were about survival, about feeding their family, about the community they lived in. Their lives were just as real, just as important as the king's, but completely different. And what about a merchant? Their world was one of trade routes, bustling markets, and exotic goods. They might have traveled vast distances, encountering different cultures and languages. Their life was a stark contrast to that of a craftsperson, who might spend their entire life in one workshop, perfecting a single skill. Whether it was pottery, weaving, or metal, their hands created the beautiful objects that filled the markets and even the palaces. Yet their individual stories often go untold. Each of these people, the queen, the farmer, the merchant, the artisan, lived in the same historical period, but they experienced entirely different pasts. Their daily routines, their hopes, their fears, their entire reality was unique to their social standing and profession. This diversity wasn't just about jobs or social classes. It was also about geography. Just like today, people in different parts of the world, or even different parts of the same country, had vastly different customs and lifestyles. For example, think about the Andaman Islands today. Many people there still live in close connection with nature, getting their food by fishing, hunting, and gathering what the forest provides. It's a way of life that has been passed down through generations. Now, contrast that with someone living in a bustling modern city like London, Tokyo, or New York. City dwellers rely on a complex network of supply chains for their food. They go to a supermarket, not into the forest. They are dependent on farmers, truck drivers, and grocery store workers. They will never meet. These exact kinds of differences existed in the past too. A person living in a coastal village would have a life centered around the sea, while someone in a mountain community would have a completely different set of skills and traditions. A community in a lush river valley would have a different diet and culture than one in a dry, arid desert. So, the past of a fisherman on the coasts of ancient Greece was not the same as the past of a nomad in the Central Asian steppes. They were contemporaries, but they lived in different worlds. So, if all these different pasts existed, why do we tend to only know about one version? Why is our history so often dominated by the stories of kings, queens, and generals? The answer is simple: records. The powerful and wealthy had the means and the motivation to document their lives. Kings commissioned grand inscriptions to celebrate their victories. They had scribes who kept detailed records of their reigns, the battles they won, and the laws they passed. These records were often made on durable materials like stone or metal, designed to last for centuries. They wanted to be remembered, and they made sure they would be. These are the documents that historians often find and study. But what about the ordinary people? The hunters, the fishing folk, the farmers, the herders. They were the vast majority of the population, the backbone of every society. Did they keep records? Generally, no. Their lives were focused on daily survival. They didn't have the time, the resources, or often even the literacy to write down their own stories. Their histories were passed down orally, through songs, stories, and traditions. which are much more fragile and easily lost over time than a stone tablet. This creates a huge gap in our understanding of the past. We have a detailed, high-definition picture of the lives of the elite, but a blurry, incomplete sketch of the lives of everyone else. It's like trying to understand a whole city by only looking at the skyscrapers. You see the most prominent structures, but you miss the vibrant streets, the small businesses, the diverse neighborhoods where most people actually live. This is where the fascinating field of archaeology comes in. Archaeologists are like historical detectives. Since ordinary people didn't leave written records, archaeologists dig for other clues. They unearth the tools they used, the pottery they ate from, the foundations of their homes, and even their garbage pits. A simple piece of broken pottery can tell us so much. It can reveal what people ate, how they cooked, and even who they traded with. The remains of a house can show us how a family lived, how big their household was, and what their daily life might have looked like. Animal bones can tell us about their diet and whether they were farmers or hunters. Even pollen preserved in the soil can reconstruct the ancient environment. Through archaeology, we can start to piece together the silent stories of the past. We can add color and detail to the lives of the people who were left out of the official records. We get a glimpse into their world, their struggles, and their triumphs. We learn that they weren't just a faceless crowd. They were individuals with complex lives, skills, and cultures. However, even with archaeology, there's so much that remains a mystery. We can find a tool, but we can't always know exactly how it was used. We can find a grave, but we can't know the beliefs and rituals that surrounded death. We can find the layout of a village, but we can't hear the conversations that took place in its streets. The inner lives, the thoughts, the feelings of ordinary people from the distant past are often lost to us forever. There are huge parts of their story that we simply have to guess at. So, the next time you think about history, remember that it's not a single, straight line. It's a rich, complex tapestry woven from countless different threads. It's the grand story of empires and battles. Yes, but it's also the quiet, personal story of a farmer, a potter, a fisherman. It's a mosaic of many different pasts. By acknowledging this, we get a much fuller, more honest, and far more interesting picture of our shared human story. We learn to look for the voices that have been silenced and to appreciate the complexity of the lives that came before ours. The past isn't just one story. It's everyone's story. And that makes it infinitely more fascinating to explore. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this perspective on history interesting, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that challenges the way we look at the past. Let me know in the comments what part of history you'd love to see from a different perspective. See you in the next video.